am not used to, got it, recording in progress. Awesome. So yeah, I'm Hannah Smalls. I use she, her pronouns. I am farming right now in so-called Windham, Maine on Abenaki lands. You can go to the next slide. Um, and I kind of have a land acknowledgement and that I honor all the ancestors and Abenaki and Wabanaki Confederacy that have originally habitated this land. The land that I now reside on, I'm trying to do everything in my power to honor them and their livelihood while continuing the growth of my knowledge of their complex and long history. Um, yeah, and this kind of helps start out of how I see Soulful Soils kind of going outside the norm of your um, classic market garden or vegetable production farm. And that kind of leads into my mission statement, which is next slide. And Soulful Soil's mission is to provide organically grown food while growing a new, wholesome, and communal approach to home scale farming. We're a Black woman-owned farm supporting people and families to be more self-sufficient and healthy, no matter their income, religion, politics, or race. We're connecting with community by sharing and gaining knowledge while putting soul back into our soil. Um, Kind of love to start off with the soil part. I actually have only about 3.5 acres of land behind a 1900 old farmhouse. You can go to the next slide whenever. Um, and basically, what I see this session today is kind of helping me work on my talking skills to people and just would love to hear any questions or constructive feedback of anything that you may see missing or something that you heard that through my presentation that really stood out to you. Basically, this whole market garden is from the ground up. I work part-time with the Northeast Grain Shed Alliance, which is a nonprofit that works within the grain farming world. I also work part-time at a farm down here in Gorham, Maine called Orchard Ridge Farm, part-time, and um, basically the breadwinner for my family. And as my um, husband, he takes care of our kids. They stay home full time. We're also going to be homeschooling them. They're 4 and 1. So yeah, this is kind of just to show like how I've managed to turn what you see right here, a basic backyard that was in January of 2021, and kind of where I am at now, and the lessons and things that I've learned. So yeah, I said it's our farmhouse. The land is semi-sloped. You can kind of see there's like a dead looking tree right there. Right there is where it slopes down to. And then it turns into the kind of thick woods in the back with a spring that edges our property line that we are able to use. We have a well on property that we use from it. And then, like I said, the whole lot is 3.5 acres. So I hope that my production will be about 2 acres in production, at least by 2025. Um, Next slide, please. Yeah, so 2021 lessons. This was my first year on this land. You can kind of see the first breaking of ground for testing the soil and also just kind of turning over, seeing what I had to work with. It was all grasses. There's a lot of hairy vetch, clover, very obviously residential looking lawn. So we slowly turned it over, realized obviously there's a lot of little critters. So I was working on a actual fencing option here. And like I said, this is, so I guess you could say it's kind of a hobby garden that I'm trying to create into a business as I work my other jobs. And this year, I'm finally kind of cutting back on my paid jobs to really focus in on growing and making connections like certain things like this, along with working with my different organizations, which I'll get into as the presentation goes on. Next slide, please. And feel free if you have a question, just put the little reaction hand. I can't see everyone, so if you had a little hand reaction, I can see in the chat there. So yeah, it's fast 2022. We were able to order 7 cubic yards of local loam and compost. You see those are our first 2 beds there. And we get from the Roosevelt Trail and Garden on 302, if anyone knows it, and they use Benson Farm compost. So I'm really heavy on adding in soil, and I'm also doing no-till practices of tarping my land, but I really wanted to kind of get growing the first year, so I laid out that soil. This is when I also welcomed my second daughter there. So I was very postpartum, kind of the beginning of last growing season, so a little slower in growing. I just did tomatoes and lettuce, no greenhouse yet, and definitely lessons learned that taking care of 2 kids and 2 other jobs and trying to build a farm is definitely not for the faint of heart. It's a lot of, I guess, upsets in my own personal wants of where I would like to see Soulful Soils, but also kind of just taking my time, learning from these 2 women who own Orchard Ridge Farm. They've just taken over a farm from um, to people who owned it for over 20 years, and kind of learning beside them as they learn to run a whole farm business has really been interesting, and kind of goes to show of like my grassroots of learning and building my knowledge of how to kind of have a working farm business. And yeah, so Orchard Ridge Farm, they have blueberries and apples, so that I'm focused on vegetables. They also have over 200 chickens. So it definitely told me that I don't want to get into livestock. Livestock farming's not for me, but I would love to have a few just to build soil nutrients and for our own kind of personal homesteading. As you can see, this is kind of a way of I'm creating a homestead, but also eventually having this turn into a market garden to sell within my local community. Next slide, please. And then 2023. So this year we got another 7 cubic yards. We did have 4 cubic yards of loam and then 3 cubic yards of compost. We got it delivered and mixed it ourselves. And you can kind of see our house in the background there and see how it kind of slopes down. And also this is a picture without the fence. So I think I added a picture with the fence. So now we have a fence around the whole first plot area. And yeah, lessons learned, must have a solid greenhouse. I got a cheapy greenhouse offline to grow transplants for this year. And we stuck it down into the ground. We had it attached to the garage. But there was that freak like tornado windstorm a couple weeks ago, and completely ripped it out of the ground, and all my transplants got thrown. I was able to save 1 tray of sad little summer squash, but it was just a lesson that, yeah, Maine has some hardcore weather, and it's just going to get crazier from here on out. So kind of dialing in the actually having a solid greenhouse, and dialing like heat for onions, so I'm able to have onions in time to put them in ground. And next. Slide, please. So yeah, this year, you can see the fence is up. I laid drip tape on my first four in-ground raised beds, which are 3 feet by 25 feet. You kind of can see there's a black tarp behind it of the same exact area of the fenced in part, and that's plot two that will peel back in about a month. I'm going to be cover cropping that, and then cutting the cover crop, laying the tarp back down, and letting it sit again over winter and peeling it back next May to have it in ground raised beds and production for 2024. There's also 6 raised wooden beds right there. They're 4x7s. And that's just because, as you can kind of see the slopage there, there's the left side of the garden is very sloped. So that's why I've been getting in soil. I'm hoping to get at least another 10 yards in for next year. But once again, I've been really adamant on kind of just doing this dollar by dollar, saving all my receipts, and hopefully by next tax season, actually becoming an official LLC, and having our official first production year in 2024. And also the planning of a permanent greenhouse, which will be built by my partner who's a carpenter. He's been doing all my building as of now. And yeah, I kind of see the same layout that's right here. Once again, filling those beds, those wooden raised beds, is a way to kind of level out the ground, as the left side is at least 4 inches lower than the right. And next slide, please. So then that's a picture of before we finished the fence. It's the older one from the last one you saw. And I also was only able to fill 3 of the wooden raised beds. But yeah, that's definitely hoping to get at least like 4 yards, just to fill out those last 3 beds. I also am was just finished up applying for a fellowship through the Braiding Seed Fellowship, which is a BIPOC run nonprofit farm in New York, and the Black Southern Cooperative Network. And it's a fellowship for 10 Black farmers or BIPOC farmers, to kind of flesh out exactly what I'm presenting to you today, with farming mentorship and also a $50,000 stipend for any on-farm costs, infrastructure. Um, so as I'm building this, I was also writing in that fellowship, and really hoping to hear good news back in July. So this is kind of the start of the Global Village. They are a cooperative farm in Grafton, Mass. I took a free farming kind of it was kind of like a fellowship, but it was a class that you could go to. It was and they got a grant so they could offer it to about 15 BIPOC farmers. And this was one of the models that I really, really liked. Even though it is a cooperative model, I'm gonna have a for-profit business for now. Um, I want to make sure that even if it is a business, I want to be able to have a very like cooperative minded business that thinks about the community, especially BIPOC youth, is what I want my business to really help and offer certain classes or just space for BIPOC youth. So it's a strategic way of kind of managing, and having this existing model has really helped me understand what avenues I want to get into, what markets I'm interested in, and kind of also helping with market research and talking to people within my community and see if what I think they need is actually something that they need. And next slide, please. Let's see. Let me just check the chat for a second. Let's make sure. No, that's it. Awesome. So this is kind of the outlier of kind of a cooperative structure of having a community in center, thinking about key resources, key activities, relationships, channels, the values that I may be creating with Soulful Soils, key partners that are in the creation of it, movements. I'm actually have a position on the investment committee of the Black Farmers Fund, which is a very new fund that's has right now about 10 million in grants and 10 million in low interest loans to give to Black farmers and Black food actors across the Northeast. So just even having that connection and building my literacy and finances, but also kind of seeing what other farmers are doing across the region and what I may like from them and kind of incorporating it into my own business. And then expenses and revenue considerations obviously is very important. So I'm going to go through all those. Once again, yeah, feel free to put a hand up. And if you have a question, I'm happy to answer. And next slide, please. So yeah, community. What I'm hoping to create value for is the local BIPOC community. I was actually part of a grant making advisory team a couple months ago through Maine Initiatives, and a lot of our BIPOC community in Maine seem to be like searching and aching for open air nature places that they can feel safe in, but also that may be trauma informed and just, yeah, having a safe haven to come to. And whether it's just sitting in the earth or having your feet barefoot in the soil. Also connecting with my neighbors. I live on a very busy 202 highway, so I will be very in the center. People will be able to see me, but I have not connected with any of my neighbors, even who live next to me. So kind of figuring out how I could create value with them, but also just getting to know them. Community partners, that could be something like Maine Food Convergence and other orgs. Youth and students is a big thing for me. Gardeners and definitely tourists. I, especially down here, I see the influx of people from May to October. Because of Taurus. Next slide, please. And that's me and my partner just hiking. So yeah, what movements, what ecosystem ideologies that hold my efforts? I am doing all traditional farming, no-till. I don't have one tractor BCS right now. I'm hoping to use all hand tools in a very regenerative and organic farming practices. Also connecting with food justice and sovereignty through Afro-diasporic teachings of the earth, and connecting with my Black Farmer Fund to have teachers and elders come to the space and hopefully hold workshops that can honor the indigenous people that were on my land before. And yeah, just sovereignty in itself for all people is what it speaks to my heart there. Next slide, please. Key partners are definitely BFF and Soulfire if I get the fellowship, but even if not, I hope to be connected with those nonprofits in any capacity. I just kind of named off like this was like coalition members, suppliers, so people and organizations I'll be connected with, FedCo, USM, Co-op Extension, MOFGA, local farmers like Orchard Ridge. They will actually be, I've just confirmed they'll be my first direct to market customers. I'm kind of testing out the waters with wholesale or direct to market through them. And they do work with a local farmer right now, but they are more than happy to kind of support um, my my dream and my business. So it's just great to connect with our local farmers who understand where I'm coming from and how I'm still in research and development. So I yeah. And let's see, just got a question here. Yeah, so I actually, like I said, I'm kind of a stubborn person when it comes to funding. I have still a lot, I have a lot of school debt for going to university. I actually went to the University of Massachusetts Amherst and got my BS in sustainable food and farming. So taking out money and loans, I've been very just hesitant on it. But I have not been a recipient of funds from the Black farmers. I actually get paid a very small stipend for being on their investment committee. Um, I definitely think that if you're a BIPOC farmer, you should check out the Black Farmer Fund interest form. They're accepting all levels, whether or not you have a business or do have a business. And if it's not farming, that's as long as it's with food, they are interested in working with any Black food actor within the region. Um, and yeah, just I guess my advice is do things scared. um, this scares the absolute crap out of me. And I'm much more graceful in the garden, getting dirty in the soil. But to run a business and to connect with people, it takes a certain kind of um, literacy and computer work like that. So I guess just and being soft with myself. Yeah, exactly. So braiding seeds too is such a cool fellowship that wasn't even around 3 years ago. So yeah, I just and working together and asking questions can get us to key partners like Mafka or a local farmer down the road from you that may want to be collaborating and buy your veggies. So yeah, and also working with the Wyndham Food Pantry. My family actually has used the food pantry since we moved here in hard times, especially in winter, um, because my partner's a carpenter, so a lot of his work is not kind of non-existent in the winter. So I am so excited that first time that I can bring a big bushel of Soulful Soils veggies down to them. And yeah, it definitely will be a full circle moment. And also connecting possibly with more Southern in the Portland food pantries. And I didn't add there's another food bank that is closer in Turner that I've been talking with that works with the Mainers Feeding Mainers program. And I would love to connect with them as well. Next slide, please. Yeah, key resources. Kind of who I've been tapping into kind of goes back to that question of yeah, I've been just putting all my energy in working, but also connecting with like educators, universities. QuickBooks and Excel has been definitely a key resource when it comes to like keeping track of what I'm spending. Because, like I said, everything that I've bought so far has just been straight from our pocket. And like reliable, well, experts. A lot of it soil amending. These all the key aspects, from physical to and financial has kind of been my last stop, because I have a greenhouse Excel spreadsheet, for successions, um, but that like financial piece of who I may connect with in accounting, cooperative extension. Actually, they have, um, I did an hour meeting with Jason Lilly, and they try to make you not want to be a farmer because they want to show you how hard it is. But once you get over that, they gave me a lot of good resources of like free accountants that they have. So I think definitely connecting with those kinds of areas are good. But yeah, it's definitely it's kind of cutthroat. They're gonna tell you, it's farming is hard and you gotta be committed. And so I've learned that, and definitely getting all the resources possible. And I think that's why I'm not actually in production. I'm hoping 2024 will be my first real production year with a few markets. But kind of those last few key pieces, like talking to an accountant and also getting um, a a real greenhouse will be great. And then yeah, farm supplies, all that. There's so many resources. I definitely left out a few. But I want to make sure that we get to also a dialogue. I don't want to just be me talking at people. I really just kind of wanted to show you where I'm at, who I am, and then I'd love to kind of create this as kind of a dialogue and Q&A at least 20 minutes of the ending. Next slide, please. And key activities. So yeah, I really want to focus on farmers markets, like I said, at least two, and also having like an on-farm farm stand that will have mostly veggies, um, and then also maybe a few like value-added products from local Maine artisans, jams, soap, anything that's not. I don't think I'm gonna veer to refrigerated just yet. That could definitely be in the 5-year plan, but I see mostly, yeah, like non-perishable, certain main goods like that, along with the veggies. Um, and the first is organic food production. Solely, I don't want to spray anything. I've been putting a lot of insect barriers, different organic methods, rather than organic spraying. I know I'm not naive to the fact that I may have to eventually, but with being in such a kind of residential, suburban, rural area, I'm surrounded by houses, house. So, um, yeah, I'm trying to veer away from hopefully no spraying. Um, Yeah, and then I have recovery programs offered to local sober homes. I'm actually a person in long-time recovery, and I would love to have Soulful Soils as a refuge for people in recovery, especially BIPOC people in recovery too, because recovery in the world of BIPOC and Black people is not talked about a lot. It's seen kind of as a weakness. And it just took me a couple months ago to actually be verbal on this and confident enough to not think that someone's going to write me down because of what I say. But yeah, I see that. And then also connecting with youth for field trips, and educational programs, just having, because I also see if you work with youth, it can be that farms and getting your hands in the soil and on the land, can be that stop before maybe they become an addict or alcoholic in themselves. So I think, yeah, nurturing our BIPOC youth and before they may go through years and years of suffering. So I see a lot of Soulful Soils more on, I have a slide on this, but kind of revenue wise, a lot of it will come from like um, the markets, but I want it to be able to fund these educational programs. So if people want to come, they will not be burdened with a fee or a registration fee to come and just be with the plants and land. Next slide, please. So yeah, how am I gonna retain these relationships? I will have a email newsletter. I hope to actually buy my website domain once I become a full LLC. Um, Also having those free workshops that I mentioned, and also discounted produce for BIPOC, and also donations to food pantries. So those relationships I will nurture through email, but also just I hope that I can be the person that people can see that they can call me whenever. I see farming as like a 24/7 job, definitely. And yeah, I'm welcome to that because the past 3 years have seemed kind of isolating and lonely. And as I've been building this up, I'm finally kind of ready to open this land to the community. So I really, this year, I want to have at least one volunteer day, and stress that I'm not trying to get free labor. It's more of like, I'll have an activity that people can help with on the garden, market garden farm. Um, but yeah, it will be more of like a space of getting to know people, opening up my land to share with others, and really kind of deepen those relationships and do the face-to-face kind of market research that is definitely needed when starting a business. And kind of last one is possibly donors. I'm interested in maybe working with some fellow caterers that may want to do like a fundraiser dinner that would be all made with food that I've grown. And then like ticket price would be based on how you feel donation wise. And that kind of goes to like, I love throwing a good party. I love events that's just like people, and so that was kind of like an afterthought, but may be more of a detailed thing in the future. Next slide, please. Channels, yeah, Instagram, Facebook, we are a digital world, so just hoping to get on all those avenues. I right now have an Instagram and Facebook. I'm pretty I use the Instagram a little bit. I'm trying to, yeah, just get my presence out there any way I can, but also trying to be as transparent as possible that even though I am like labeled as a farm, I'm still in the research and development phase. And yeah, just trying to get my name out there. Um, and yeah, phone number. I want to be that farmer. Like someone could feel free to like call me and say, hey, I'd love to come by and pick some herbs, or kind of changing the transactional relationship between a farmer and a customer and making it more well-rounded. And next slide, please. Good. So yeah, this is just kind of the value that I hope to be creating is food access to affordable, organically grown produce. I know it's definitely not missing in Southern Maine, but like I said, I hope that Soulful Soils can be that alternative farming business that can give people access to food while also being a communal gathering space. And just it says for workers. I don't think I'll have workers for a long time. I definitely have family that are interested in being apprentices, and just kind of like coming and helping out. Um, but yeah, just growing that knowledge of the importance of tending our lands and being in harmony with the earth and um, the people who steward the land before us. And next slide, please. This is the nitty gritty, the expense cost structures. So fixed costs and variable costs. The basically fixed costs are, mortgage, utilities, um, livable salary for myself and my and partner. That's probably not going to happen, honestly, to be honest with myself, at least for the first 3 years. I definitely see either myself or my partner still working. And I hope that we can have it as our only revenue stream. But yeah, that's just reality. And it's kind of where like I said, I'm creating this as a homestead for my family to feed my family, but then also creating it in a space where we can open it up to the community. So yeah, I guess since this is a cooperative structure, but and I'm relating it to a for-profit business, that's where it can get kind of um, fuzzy. But I really hope that at least maybe someone here can see how I can um, do both, and I can see it as just kind of keep focusing on the expenses that are needed and the revenue that we are getting from the farm itself. So yeah, I still need a website subscription, QuickBooks software to kind of keep track of anything that's going out. Variable costs are all like tools, building materials. I still have a lot of perennial plants that I'm looking to purchase. We have a few strawberries and raspberries right now. Um, and yeah, possibly organic pest management certificate to kind of, and pest management, bumper crops, marketing materials, all those different costs of just trying to make sure I hit everything on the head there. Yeah, I think that's it. And then next slide, please. I think I have two more slides. This is, yeah, so revenue consideration. So how will this farm possibly make money? I really want to go work with a sliding scale slash donation base, at least for the first year. Um, Not only just because I believe that everyone should be have access to healthy grown food no matter their economic status, but yeah, also building trust with my neighbors and my local community, so they can see that as I do want to make money, but I'm starting this from I already have a job, so if I can give to you, then that is just everything that I've always wanted, to be able to just grow food, whether or not it will make me money. And then kind of this is the breakdown of yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then kind of the breakdown of having more of like a like for-profit but cooperative. I see a large part of it being the farm stands. If I do get into the fellowship, a majority of that stipend will be to build a very nice farm stand and the last infrastructure that we need. Um, I really want people on farm. We have obviously a very good access point being on a main road. Um, and then 40% farmers markets. So hopefully at least two markets. I see about 15% direct to markets and restaurants. And that kind of touches on I really, really want to grow herbs and vegetables that aren't grown by anyone else. I really want to try and find varieties that can grow in Maine good, but also that our Black immigrants may notice, or that aren't at farmers markets, or yeah, I really want that to be my niche, and kind of listening to the community and what they see missing, and if I could possibly fill that gap. And then donations will be about 5%, if if and when I become a LLC. And also, like I said, I work part-time for a nonprofit right now, so I'm really learning the ins and outs of what it takes to be a nonprofit. So staying in that job, it's been tough, but it's been exactly what I needed if I would eventually like to create Soulful Soils into a nonprofit. And then that is kind of the sweet spot, 5-year plan, where and then people could give donations, and then they could get a tax deductible receipt. Um, that always makes it a little bit more appealing to donate for people. And I want to make sure I got the whole. Yeah, exactly. So tax breaks are always fun. And yeah, maybe creating into a nonprofit. Like, if anyone knows of Soulfire in Grafton, New York, they are a nonprofit farm. And so they're able to do a CSA, but they can do a lot of educational workshops and working with their community. And I'm really basing a lot of kind of my plan, kind of how I see their success and how much they've helped their direct community. So that is definitely on the plan. And I'm hip and snap. So yes, I'm hoping to do whatever paperwork that needs to be, once the farm stands up, so we can accept hip and snap. Next slide, please. I think this is the last one. Yeah. Okay. So I know I might have been all over the place. I hope I was a little concrete. Thank you so much. That's my clayey soil right there. That is slowly getting amended, and and that's my love. I love being in the soil, and yeah, I love any questions, comments, dialogue. Um, thank you so much for listening.
Hi, Anna. It's Bo.
Hi, Bo.
Thank you so much for sharing. It was so exciting to hear like what you've been working on and where you think you're going and where you want to go. So, I'm calling in from the farm field, so I'm sorry my video is not on right now, but I was curious, like right now, what you see as your biggest barriers in the 2023 season.
Yeah. I hate to be like money, but yeah, it's just I money, and I need to get more into opening the idea, maybe loans, but yeah, I'm stubborn. And uh I guess also, like, I have no greenhouse now, so it's basically we are making plans to build a wood greenhouse, but that won't probably happen until next spring. So looking to either get another cheapie and just really batten down the hatches if we get another bad windstorm like that. And time, I guess. I'm really trying to lay back from my paid job, hopefully my partner working a little bit more, and just really focusing on getting things in the ground. And I guess another setback would be is that I'm not a business organized person, so I'm just really focusing on um, getting my business plan in order and making sure that my shed's organized, and just, yeah, going from the transition of working for someone on their farm that has everything there, and I just have to show up and do the work, and learning how to be very versatile, very multifaceted person with a lot of hats. As I bet a lot of you know, like the hats, wearing the hats seems to be growing as like the years go on. And but that's okay too, because I'm always a student. I I really, I like to say I'm the most naive person, because I want to stay naive so I can learn and grow and figure out my strengths where I have them, and hopefully work on the parts that are not so strong.
Hannah, you mentioned like you noticed a big like influx during the summer in your area of like tourism. Do you ever see like agritourism being a part of your farm and like maybe a potential revenue stream or like outreach effort?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Definitely for like farm to table events. I really like doing events. And yeah, I could definitely see that. Um, and I see it so more, especially the farm that I'm working on right now, Orchard Ridge. They just cleared off a whole another area to just turn into lawn, which is interesting. But yeah, I'm hoping like the farm stands would, I see that as kind of like tourism y. Um, but yeah, I definitely want to tap into that market, while also paying homage to our local community itself.
It's nice to meet you, Hannah. Thanks for such a thoughtful presentation. I just wanted to introduce myself and also offer potential connections. I'm Steph, and my partner runs the Farmers Market Federation and helps farms establish farm stands and establish and snap at farm stands, and can offer like in kind support for developing that. So I can share my email in the chat to kind of connect. I know you have, so it looks like you have a lot of vision, so that's maybe not the top priority right now, but for whenever you're ready, um, there's definitely a lot of support programs too. And then I I have been farming and gardening the past 12 years and coordinating farm to school programs in Maine, and recently now have joined the food funding world of philanthropy, and just also wanted to offer connection around um, connecting with philanthropic funders. Um, so yeah, just wanted to like thank you for your presentation and offer connection, and I can put my contact info in the chat, and I'm just excited about everything that you're building. Um, we need it. We need more community spaces. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that'd be great.
I really loved your presentation too. I loved the photos of the evolution of the landscape. That's really cool to see. I am not a great gardener. I'm like this is my second year like living at a place where we actually have a place to garden. And I like my ambition is pretty small. Like I just want to be able to grow enough food for like me and my partner to supplement, a decent amount of what we eat with our own like homegrown food. So I have like a million questions, but I'm gonna try and like stay keep it keep it tight. Like one thing is, and this is a really basic and maybe a dumb question, but how, like, when you have a space that large with so many different sections, how do you decide what you're planting where? Is there like companion plantings or like, yeah, I don't know, just whatever insight you have on that.
Yeah, exactly. So right now, obviously, I only have about like 500 square feet in production. So I can't grow as much as I want, but I'm doing a lot of companion planting. I'm putting a lot of snap peas. I'm trying to kind of do like a modern version of the Three Sisters. A lot of like squash with the peas. A lot of onions and scallions with the lettuce. Um, and basically, some things I can't grow because I don't want them to be too close to each other. But also, there's other areas that I'm kind of just researching to see like what would happen if I put my potatoes right next to my beets. And so right now I have carrots, beets, snap peas in the ground. And they did okay last night. A lot of agrocrop or agrobon on them. Um, and yeah, I'm really just the planning over the winter, making sure I record exactly what I grew in 2022 so I don't put any heavy feeders where heavy feeders were, or and putting light feeders where heavy feeders were, and just making sure the rotation makes sense. And yeah, just having that record is really, really important. And as the years grow, like next year, I'll have two plots. So I'll have a lot more area to grow a lot more varieties. But I still am yeah, hoping the diversifiedness is there, especially if I'm trying to do certain varieties that may not be grown in this area as much, and looking towards a lot of like edible fruit forest areas. I have a permaculture design certificate, but I like to think of more like traditional farming ways. So kind of how they planted things together way, way back when, and working in harmony with all of that. So I do have some bumper crops, especially for potato beetles and cucumber beetles. Gonna be planting annuals, like marigolds, and also, yeah, just hoping that the harmony within these vegetables will work. But yeah, it definitely focusing on like the heavy feeders and making sure that I'm not planting the same thing year after year after year, and making definitely a lot of companion planting. Yeah, I have these four beds and I'm gonna do lettuce, onions together, and I really don't have, I'm doing a lot of direct seeding. I'm really at this point, I don't think it's really, I want to get another greenhouse, but yeah, I'm looking to, I like the next greenhouse will be a real greenhouse, so I don't have to deal with all this of not having any transplants right now. Um, except my peppers. I had one little like thing of peppers that I bring in and out every day, and then my summer squash there. So to get back to your question is yes, lots of companion planting, and as the years grow, I will have at least four plots to to hopefully grow with as demand needs it within the farm stand and the two farmers markets that I'm hoping to be in next season.
Nice. And like when you say heavy feeders, I'm assuming you mean like plants that use like a lot of nitrogen or whatever, like like pull a lot of those nutrients out of the soil.
Yes, exactly. So any heavy feeders like tomatoes or um, and putting a lot of lettuce after all those feeders that may be taking the nutrients out of the soil.
Nice, thanks. It's very helpful.
I also I love that you mentioned, Hannah, about growing herbs and like incorporating more herbs that are needed in the market and like finding niches. And that's definitely been a huge passion of mine. And I have a lot of seedlings right now of like doing a lot of saving of medicinal plant seeds and replanting. And I was just curious if there was any plants or seeds that have you been able to kind of access what you need in the herbal side of things, or are you is it too soon to know exactly what you want to be growing, or have you already kind of started honing in and thinking about what you might want to be accessing in terms of sometimes it can just be harder to get going with the seeds and seedlings
Mm,
for some of the more unique herbals.
exactly. Yeah. And that brings up a point of what seed carriers I'm looking to work with. I definitely want to grow curry leaves. And I haven't found a good space or really looked into a place to actually get the seed. Um, and yeah, this is the third year of like just building up the soil. I've been kind of hesitant of putting any seeds or plants in this very clayey, like mucky mud soil. So I'm just, yeah, trying to be very strategic with what I put in there. And I would love any like seed companies that may have more. I know True Love Seeds is they're a little further, but they do have a lot of different varieties. Um, and yeah, and also any seed that I am able to, if there's no patents or anything, is saving seed. That's some personal passion of mine. I wouldn't sell them or anything, but hopefully for using for many years to come. I love saving seed and having workshops on that of showing people how I let the gardens go to seed. Okay, awesome. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, great seed suggestions. And True Love is a great go-to because they're BIPOC and queer owned. And I think there's growers here that are growing for them. So even though they're based in Pennsylvania, there's some Maine growers. I actually just bought seed that I think Bo grew out in Maine and then was distributed through True Love. Uh, but then I also wanted to highlight like a wild seed project is based here in Wabanaki territory, and it is like a white lead project. But they have a lot of unique seeds and do a lot of education too around just trying to propagate some of the more trickier species. That's Wild Seed Project. But yeah, strictly medicinals is a go-to, and then I also will use Richter's with herbs, which is actually in Canada. But if it's like really something you can't find anywhere else, it's almost like guaranteed that they have it because they have the most massive selection.
Okay.
I don't know if it's helpful if I put things in the chat or not, or if the verbal's okay.
I would love anything and all. Yeah, because it's interesting because I bought seed 2 years ago, and I've been using old seed just because I'm still doing the research and just growing for my own family. So yeah, and because this winter I will be doing a whole new seed haul. So love all the seed companies. Thank you. Great.
Hannah, I'm curious. You talked about like, you work on a farm, and I have these issues too with like, having a garden, like, going to a farm, having everything there for you, tools you need, like water infrastructure, like, and then starting your own, you know, garden and your own farm, like having to get those tools. And um, I've had these conversations with like a couple different people, but like, as part of your community model, like, have you considered like maybe like a tool sharing bank, or is that something you'd be interested in, or partnering with people so you can, not invest as much into tools, but more of a sharing program? And I'm just curious because I know that's a huge barrier for a lot of people to start growing things.
Yeah, I love that. And that it's part of the reason why I don't have any like mechanized tools or machinery, but also the fact that I know how to use tractors. I love them to an extent when you have, a 15-acre, 20-acre farm. But yeah, having like a hand tool swap or like a BCS swap, some kind of listserv even. I know I'm on all the listservs too, which is always good if I know that if I reach out and say I needed something. Hopefully, I mean, I haven't done that because I'm also, like I said, I'm stubborn. I don't like to ask for help. Um, the main tool library.
Yeah, it's cool.
Love that. Um, okay, I haven't heard of that, but that's something that I should know about, and I'm definitely interested in. Like, I just saw another listserv that just kind of came out of Mofco. It's like a no-till listserv, so it's now there's a listserv for farms that only do no-till or people interested in no-till. Um, and yeah, I don't even know how it was on another listserv, and they said, hey, we got this other one that's just for no-till. So yeah, and I think having those are awesome.
That's
Okay.
that's cool. There's a no-till listserv. That's really
Yeah,
awesome.
I think it's through Mafka. I don't know though.
Yeah, it's
I
true.
found it the other day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I can
and
talk to that. It's
yeah.
it's through, I think we're Mafka is the host of it. And what I like about it is that sometimes people are really, yeah, just like all that no-till is kind of a spectrum based on what equipment you have, what land tenure you have. Like if folks have a shorter land tenure, then they might need to use tillage that first year in order to get to production quicker. But yeah, that's a new listserv that has quite a few farmers already on it, which is pretty cool.
Mhm.
Awesome.
And there's actually a no-till workshop at Stone Cipher Farm and this July. So I'm on my phone, but I might be able to anyone who wants info. I'm connected with Adina too. I don't know if you're interested in it. I can send info. And they said it's free for farmers. So if you just email the either the farmer or someone part of the organization that's helping run it, we get free admission. So yeah, and I don't know if anyone's gonna be in person next week, but I'm gonna be there with my whole fam. So, and we're gonna be staying at the campground too. Um, yeah, excited just to keep connecting, and I really feel like I'm on this precipice of of finally really getting out there. And yeah, just making this dream a reality. And like I said, if I don't get this fellowship, that's okay. And I'm gonna start kind of looking in other streams and really making this. And I still do work full time, but hopefully dropping one job or two, both of them, and putting full fledged into this, into my operation.
Hannah, I don't know if this is something you'd be interested in or not, but it will not, you're gonna get the fellowship, I'm sure of that, but just in case, putting it out there in the universe. Um, like if you did like a GoFundMe or something like that, I'm sure like our network would be super psyched to share it out, the food convergence. Like I feel like all of this network would like blast it out everywhere.
I
So,
love that.
or any information about your farm that you want to share as you're starting to get things really cooking. And then I did have another question for you and for the group. This has been a debate happening in our house lately: is to mulch or not to mulch, and then what to mulch with if we mulch. We put
Mm.
straw around some things, so I'm curious people's thoughts on that too.
Personally, especially with the muck that I'm dealing with, I've been mulching. I've also been doing like a cross between a sheet mulch and a hugelkultur. So I have like some very deep, um, like low mucky spots. So yeah, leaves. I've been doing pretty small twigs, and doing kind of like a sheet mulch hugelkultur kind of mix. But then in between the beds is all hay because we actually have some really great hay in our yard. So we cut it down and dry it right, and it's been working really well for us.
Is that what you're saying? Cuba culture?
Um, yeah, it's the German phrase for it. It's like a vertical like mound that you use. Yep, hugelkultur is how you spell it. And you use like twigs, leaves, and then you cover it with soil, and it's kind of like making a living compost heap. And if you know, sheet mulching is how you like literally do a lasagna of like you do cardboard, newspaper, straw, leaves, and then you kind of keep lasagnaing it, and that's called a sheet mulch. So I've been doing that, but a lot with a lot more like sticks, and then layering our soil above that. Because I'm being impatient and I just want to get some things in the ground, and can't do that with what I originally have down there.
I'm trying buckwheat hulls for the first time this year. Um, as a mulch, I have just a really small plot, so I don't know like how economical it is in like a large scale, but just for a small little area. But I like how lightweight they are. Um, so we'll see.
Cool. Yeah, and we still have like 20 minutes left, so yeah, I'd love to kind of keep talking or um it's a beautiful day out today. I can't wait to get back out there and
Does anyone have any other questions? Well, we could
Yeah.
also we could end early too, and then meet back in the main room at 3:20, 3:15. Everyone is ask questions, or Hannah, if you want to add anything else, obviously you're welcome to.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Bo. And yeah, I appreciate everyone for being here. And I guess, yeah, if you had like one takeaway from all the things I said, I guess, what would it be?
My takeaway and what I kept thinking of as you were giving your presentation was how you put community at the center of everything, of the business model and of your plans. And I just thought that was really cool and lovely. And I'm really excited to see how this thing continues to grow.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I think your deliberate like planning and being realistic is really refreshing. Because I think you said it like, the extension is I used to work for extension, and just knowing like, there's so many great resources, but like, it's ultimately up to you and how you want to run your business. And I just think you're really thoughtful about what you want out of your property and your business and your community, and it's really cool to hear that.
Thank you. Actually, you just remind me of something that I totally did. So I actually am also I'm not looking to do CSA at all. I know CSAs are a big thing for farms, but I'm looking into kind of like a different community supported agricultural stream where the farm stand will start off of on my website. I will have everything that I know that I'll be harvesting. I'll have a set harvest day, and then set pickup days, which will hopefully maybe be like Friday, Saturday. And then people can like every week I'll update it to make sure that I'll have what I say I on the website, and people can kind of like pick what goes in their box. So it'd be like it'd be like a CSA, but it'd be every week and non-committal. Kind of in that way, I don't have to worry about growing for 30 CSA boxes. But also, yeah, hoping to build my support within my customers, and just also just being more open, and hopefully more of the veggies that go in their box get eaten and cooked, because working on a few CSA farms, I've heard from many customers how like they don't even really go through like half their things because they don't even like radishes, and I've seen the way farms kind of go around that. They have a list, they say you don't have to pick certain things. But yeah, I see kind of doing that model, where it's like pick up and pick your own. Yeah, it's kind of like pick your own, but on the website. Kind of like a DoorDash maybe for veggies. So yeah, great. All right.
A thing I just thought of or remembered is that after this, when we go back into the big room, we're gonna have like the report out from all the groups. Hannah, do you want to do the report out so people can see your face and connect you with the farm for the future moving forward?
Sure. Yeah, if everyone's cool with
Awesome.
that.
Yeah, totally. And that not if anybody else wants to chime in and share anything, of course, please do. But so it'd be nice for people for the whole group to get to see you and connect you with the farm.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay. Definitely. And I'm sorry, Steph, I totally lost your chat with your info. if
It's
you don't
okay.
mind.
It sounds like you're gonna be in person next week, so I can like meet you and
Oh, okay.
give
Yeah.
give you my
IRL.
I also might bring some I'm trying to host a seedling swap at the event. So if there's any seedlings you're interested in, I have a lot. I'm gonna try to bring like herbal seedlings and flowers just
I'll
to
bring
swap.
Great.
Yeah,
I'll bring my one tray of cucumbers.
that's what you've got going on.
Yeah, it's just
Oh
that
man.
windstorm. I've felt defeated since then and
Yeah,
haven't seeded anything since. So yeah, I'm excited for that.
I'll bring you.
I'm
I'll
glad
bring
you
all.
mentioned that.
I'll bring some goodies to share.
Great.
I might
Great.
snag some of those. I might snag some of those cucumbers. That's like my favorite. I want to make just like a literal ton of pickles this year is my hope.
Yeah.
Achieve
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I got Market More. Some nice, they're
Nice.
slicing, so I don't know. They might still work.
I finally last year I did perfect my bread and butter pickle recipe and it's so good. I ran out in like
Mm.
November and I was like, damn. So not again,
Oh,
not this year.
Up it.
Should I like make a sign for the swap, seedling swap, Darcy? It could just be informal at a table where we all just kind of, I
yeah,
got to
I
figure
think
out how to like.
Steph,
yeah, I know there's gonna oh,
Oh,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Lauren.
so I'm printing a bunch of stuff next week, so if you want to send me any things about it, I can print it off.
And I know we have like a tabling area, so maybe just maybe have it there would probably make sense. Yeah, thanks for doing that
Maybe
too. That's
there's
gonna be really
some
cool.
Soulful Soils signage we can put out on
Sure.
tabling.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll think about
Yeah,
it.
if you've got any promotional stuff you want to bring next week, Hannah, bring it along.
Yeah, anything is welcome.
awesome. And yeah, I guess we're gonna have 10 minutes to kind of, when does the actual like it go back into the large group? 3:30?
Mm, that's a good question.
3:20.
It looks like 3:15 according to the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah,
Session
3:15,
report at
3:20.
could give
Oh,
us a little break beforehand.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 320 is my little note on my slide. Oh, the dogs. Something's got him up.
Okay. Get some sunshine in between then, and I'll see y'all in the big group.
Well, thank
Thank
you,
you so
Hannah.
much
Thank
again.
you. Nice to
Have a
meet
good
you.
one.
See you
You
next
See
too.
week.
y'all back in there.
Definitely.